Good morning, East Texas. I'm meteorologist Sara Blue. Thank you so much for joining us on the CBS 19 Plus live stream. We're live on CBS 19 Plus on Facebook and on YouTube. If you guys have any questions about what we're expecting severe weather-wise or about the weather for the rest of the day, I will be periodically checking our Facebook live chat. So if you have them, go ahead and comment there, and I'll do my best to answer everyone's question. All right, well, just in the past 20 or so minutes, we've gotten a tornado watch that has been issued for a good chunk of East Texas. That's for areas along and north of I-20. That includes parts of Smith County, well, all of Smith County, Gray County, Upshur County, and all the way up toward the Red River. It goes all the way to about Van Zandt and into Kaufman County. So that's our new news. This is going all the way through 5 p.m. That means that we have the potential to see a tornado between now and 5 p.m. That doesn't mean there's one actively on the ground yet, but it means the ingredients are all there. So make sure that you are staying weather aware and staying prepared in case you need to go to your safe place. Right now, the storm's really a kind of a behemoth of a storm system that's stretching all the way from the San Angelo area all the way back toward North Texas and into Oklahoma. We have gotten quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings out of this, so I'm going to give you a zoomed in look at what we're expecting or what we're seeing with those storms right now. Out toward Weatherford, still lots of lightning. This has begun to kind of pick up steam over the past little bit. We just got a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for areas up to the northwest. That's in North Texas, stopping just short of our viewing area here in East Texas. A severe thunderstorm warning, so we are expecting wind gusts of 60-ish miles per hour or higher. Lots of lightning, some decent sized hail out of this as well. That's for everything. If you take a closer look at your screen, that is highlighted in yellow. So that's going to go until 11 p.m. The National Weather Service at Fort Worth has issued this, and that's mainly going to be for the gusty winds. This is around 65 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. Now, this is going to continue to track toward our area here in East Texas. It's moving at about 35 miles per hour. So I'll throw a track on it for you. That way we can time it out when it's getting to our area here in East Texas. So if you take a look at the top left-hand corner of your screen, that front line should reach you in Farmersville closer to 1028. So just a few minutes left on that. Caddo Mills, that will reach you at 11 o'clock. Greenville, the front edge will hit you closer to 11 o'clock. Paris around 11:30, and then Reno, we're looking a little bit after 11:30. That's just the front end of this. So gusty winds coming out of it for sure, some decent sized hail, and I am watching a bit of a jagged line there at the front of it. We just got a new radar scan in. Let me go ahead and clear this out for you. I do suspect that, actually, let me see if I can get a check of our winds here. Alrighty, we are seeing quite a few gusty winds near Bonham and back to Greenville. I'm not seeing much in terms of rotation, which is good news. That's not an indication that there might be any sort of tornado on the ground out there or anything that is even trying to spin. Instead, we're just tracking very gusty winds. Now, the National Weather Service was saying wind gusts of around 65 miles per hour. I'm going to see if I can sample it here to get a check of what our radar estimates are. We're going right here in the bright green. We're seeing around 25 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts in the green, around 30, 35. So that is what we're seeing specifically with our radar. I'm keeping an eye on our gate-to-gate shear numbers. That is essentially measuring how much spin we have in the atmosphere. I'm not seeing a ton right now, so that's good news for us. Let me go ahead and clear all of this off. We can go back to what we're tracking in terms of our Titan indicators and our radar systems. Now, there is a little bit of broad scale rotation in that, nothing that I'm necessarily concerned about. I am watching this little jutting out area that's near Leonard toward Wolf City and toward Randolph. We're continuing to monitor that because there is a chance we could see something gusty try to form out there, but overall we'll continue to keep an eye on this. This is still very far out to our west, so taking a wider look, this is just a monster of a storm system, but it's still back to the Dallas area. In East Texas, we're still dry, just clouds over our area. But what I'm watching out to the Dallas area, things are getting pretty crazy. This is a live look over Dallas. I believe this is out near the bridge. We are seeing almost dark conditions, so not necessarily white out, but you can see visibility significantly dropped. The rain almost looking like it's blowing horizontally. Very gusty winds out there. You can see the camera almost shaking due to those gusty winds. Again, we were seeing that there are some gusty winds of around 65 miles per hour. Overall, pretty Pretty crazy out there. Now, we're not seeing anything like this here in East Texas just yet. Once again, this is a live look out in South Dallas. That line is set to reach us closer to 2 p.m. today. That's when I think we'll start to see it, if not a little bit earlier than that. It'll continue to crash through the piney woods. We are tracking all sorts of weather hazards with this. Gusty winds will be the most widespread impact for all of us. We'll likely see at least some decent sized hail, if not pocket change size hail, some heavy pockets of rain as well, and of course the potential for a tornado. Remember, we have that tornado watch in effect for a good chunk of our East Texas counties. That goes through 5 p.m. That's for everything along and north of I-20. Now, we're still dealing with this. This is what it could look like closer to 7, 8, 9 p.m., so around sunset. This will impact your evening commute as you're coming home from work. It's going to continue to move out to the south. Once we get closer to the midnight hours, that's when this begins to become less organized. So you're seeing a bit of a broader storm system, but it's not quite as gusty on the leading edge there. It's going to lose a bit of steam because we're not under the sunlight anymore. A lot of this storm system is feeding off of the heat of the day. So as we get warmer, that's adding just a bit of extra fuel to the fire. This is continuing to push out to the south. Again, we're still dealing with it once we get to the very early morning hours of tomorrow. Before sunrise, though, it is set to clear out, and then we'll be dealing with just clouds during that time. So the big threat window that I'm watching, 2 p.m. to about midnight. That's when we are tracking the gustiest winds. Those could get over 60 miles per hour, classifying these storms as severe. We're also tracking the potential for decent-sized hail as well as tornadoes. I would recommend that you park your cars under cover in case you do get some of those hailstones coming through. And of course, make sure that you have at least 2 ways to receive weather information in the event that there is a tornado warning. Also, you need to make sure you know where your safe place is. You need to make sure that you have access to it and that your loved ones know what to do as well. Also, make a plan on how to contact your loved ones afterwards in the event that you lose power and are under some sort of warning. All right. That flood watch is still active for many of our East Texas counties. This yellow area, what we're tracking, that is where the tornado watch is in effect. But still, we are dealing with the potential for some flooding rain over the next several hours. Our weather models are spitting out numbers that are near 4 inches in the I-20 corridor. Things will likely get messy and soggy there, so make sure that you are staying cautious and staying very aware if you are traveling later today. We are tracking a moderate risk of flash flooding. That's a level 3. That's a level 3 out of 4, so the second highest that there is. And that includes parts of Smith County, Gregg County, up to the north. Upshur County, you're in that as well. Same out toward Van Zant County. Now, this is mainly focused on the area toward Dallas and up to the north, but we are still tracking that level 2 risk of flash flooding through deep East Texas. Make sure that you're staying weather aware and remember to turn around, don't drown. Now, we are tracking some other hazards as well. So that was flooding. We're looking at our tornado energy here. Essentially, what's happening with this storm system is we have a cold front that's coming through and it's colliding with all of this tornado energy. This is a look at what we call helicity. Essentially, that measures how much spin is in the atmosphere. As this cold front comes, it's going to collide with all of this energy and give us the potential for some sort of spin up. That's going to move along. We are seeing it pop a little bit for areas out to our west and out toward the Smith County area, as well as out toward Van Zant County, Henderson, Anderson counties. We are seeing it pop a little bit there as we get into the afternoon and evening hours. So I'm not saying that we necessarily will see something spin because it's impossible to exactly predict Mother Nature, but it is a very high likelihood. And if we do see something spin, there's a chance that it could be on the stronger side. So this is a product that's issued by the Storm Prediction Center. When we look at our tornado potential, we had this upgraded this morning when we got our morning update from them. So there are a few levels that I'm looking at here. It's a 2%, a 5%, and then a 10% chance risk. What we're seeing is that yellow one, that's an elevated risk, so about 10% chance. But what I'm watching are these striped, these chevron hatched looking things. That's where we have the potential to see a significant tornado. So that's an EF2 or higher. Make sure that you're staying weather aware, because if we see something spin, there's a chance that it could really take off. Once again, it's going to be the rest of the afternoon. Really, as we get closer to the peak heat of the day, that's as that threat window begins to increase. Make sure you know your safe place. You want to make sure that you have access to the most interior room of the building on the lowest level. So you can take a look at some of the floor plans here. You want to try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. In this floor plan, the hall and the closet are good options. Usually a bathroom is a good option as well. In this instance, there is an exterior wall on the bathroom in this particular floor plan. So that would not be the safest place for you, but try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Now, I know a lot of us here in East Texas don't have access to this, but if you have a basement or a storm shelter, that is going to be a good option for you if there is a tornado warning that's in your area. Now, remember, you need to make sure you have 2 ways to receive weather warnings. One of us can be us here on CBS 19. If there is a tornado warning in our coverage area, we'll be streaming right here on CBS 19 Plus on Facebook, on our radio partners. That is 1065 Jack FM, Kicks 1057, 1041, and 1037 The Ranch, and La Visora 967. We'll also be on Facebook, on YouTube, and if there is a tornado warning in the area, we'll break into coverage live on CBS 19 over the air. So make sure that you just have an updated place or a way to receive weather information. One can be us. Also, if you have access to another NOAA weather radio, that's a good option as well. That way, if you have one of your methods go down, say you lose power or the battery in your phone dies, you still have a way to get that weather information. Now, we are dealing with all sorts of weather hazards today: flooding, damaging winds, hail, the potential for a tornado. So just make sure that you are keeping up to date with the latest weather information. I will make sure that I bring you the latest on air and online, and our chief meteorologist, Brett Anthony, will be in later, and he'll be covering it for you through the rest of the evening. If we end up getting a tornado warning, we'll tag team that to bring you the latest. Now, right now, if you are headed out the door, just clouds out there. I'm not tracking anything severe in East Texas right now. If anything, it's on the warmer and slightly muggy side. Temperatures are currently sitting in the mid-70s. But remember, this is caused by a cold front. I just showed you that a few graphics ago. So as our temperatures warm, it's going to collide with that cold front, and then they really very steeply drop off. We'll warm to about the mid-80s, low 80s, maybe a few upper 70s, depending on where you are with regard to the cold front. Then it's going to bring in cooler, drier air. That's as the thunderstorms come in. The rain is going to cool the air as well. And then by 8 p.m., we are still tracking a few scattered showers and thunderstorms, but we're dropping down into the 60s. So if you're heading out between now and about 2 p.m., we'll climb up to 81 in Tyler, 79 in Henderson, some 70s back up to the northwest there. Tonight, we're still dealing with those gusty winds, the cloud cover, the rumbles of thunder, the hail, all of it still sticking with us. Temperatures will drop down to about 70, maybe even the 60s in the Rose City, 67 in Nacogdoches, and 66 out in Sulphur Springs. Now, we will likely still see a few scattered showers out to our southwest before sunrise tomorrow. But then the rest of Thursday is dry, at least until the afternoon, when there's a chance for a few scattered showers to make their way through deep East Texas. Now, some of these may drop some decent-sized hail, so we are tracking a slight risk of severe weather through deep East Texas on Thursday. Friday, kind of a similar story. We're getting just scattered to isolated showers and thunderstorms through deep East Texas, but this will get caught up in a cold front, so we get more widespread coverage through Friday afternoon and into the evening. But really, today is the day that you need to make sure that you are watching. That's why we have the weather impact alert that is active for today. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to our radar. That way we can get a check of what's happening right now in East Texas, as well as through parts of North Texas. So that line's still holding strong from the Oklahoma state line back to parts of Plano, and then it really sharply juts out to the west as it makes it to the Flower Mound area, back to Weatherford, and all the way out toward Gorman and even into parts of West Texas. So overall, this is a pretty slow-moving line. It's been not really picking up that much speed throughout the morning. It was moving faster before sunrise, but it's slowing down just a little bit. However, that means that we are tracking more rain. The slower moving a system is, oftentimes, that means that we see more showers and thunderstorms pop up across our area. Right now, again, nothing is in East Texas just yet. We are tracking quite a few clouds that are streaming across the area. I'm watching this little cell out toward Waco, which just recently popped up. Let me go ahead and throw this in place so we can get a look at it. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to forecast this one for you live on air because it did just pop up. It is what is called a discrete cell. So you notice how far away it is from the rest of that thunderstorm line. It's way out ahead of it. It's by itself. There's nothing else there. that means that it's what's called a discrete cell. And these ones are a little bit concerning just because they oftentimes have a tendency to try to spin up a tornado or two. So let me go ahead and get a wind tracker on that just to see kind of what we're dealing with here. Alrighty, at this point, I'm not seeing anything in that cell. Everything is all the same color. We're talking about reds and purples, so not necessarily anything that I'm really concerned about out to the Waco area. But we are going to continue to track that cell. I'll switch back over to our reflectivity. Now this, let me see how fast is this moving. We can get a check of our Titan indicator here for this cell that's near Waco. It's moving at about 35 miles per hour. Our maximum hail size is coming in about 0.1 inches. That's pocket change sized. But it is moving about 35 miles per hour in our direction. So let me go ahead and throw a track on that in case that does make it to our area, where I was taking about that track. All right, 35 miles per hour. That means it's not getting to our area anytime before at least 11:30. So you have about an hour left on that. If you have loved ones out in that area, it should get toward Lacey Lakeview. It'll reach that closer, or that area closer to 10:45. Penelope, the little storm system, will breeze through around 11:15. Hubbard around 11:25, and that storm should reach Dotson closer to 11:32. But let's take a wider look back at that main line, and I'm going to take actually a look down south to see if anything is trying to form down there near the Houston area, because once again, if these do form into discrete cells, that's something that I don't really want us to see today, because there's a chance they could spin something a little bit more intense. All right, I'm not seeing anything that I'm worried about toward the Houston area, which is good news for us. These cells are taking a bit of a different track than the rest of the line. They're going directly up into our area, so they're moving from south to north rather than in this south to northeast pattern. That's just an indication of a little bit of a difference in wind there. We are seeing a cold front that's causing all of these right now. All right, some gusty winds out to the Plano area. I have seen quite a few flash flood warnings go up just over the past little bit. There is one that's active for Jack and Wise counties. That's all the way out to the west. That is active until 12:30, so still a little bit of time left on that. Another flash flood warning that's active for Cook, Grayson, and Montague counties. That one is going through 1:15 today. Once again, we currently do not have any flash flood warnings that are active in East Texas. However, there is a tornado watch. Let me take a better look at that so we can go through, maybe look at it county by county and see what we're seeing. Alrighty, Smith County, we're included in that tornado watch. Van Zant County, let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit better. There you go. Up toward Wood County, Upshur County is included in the tornado watch. Up toward Titus, Franklin, Morris County, Cass County, you're in the tornado watch as well. Same toward Hopkins. It extends all the way to the west toward Van Zant and even into parts of, I believe that is Kaufman County. Hunt County is included as well. Same toward Rockwall County. Here in East Texas, that stops at our counties that are attached to I-20 and continues up to the north. So once again, this is a tornado watch. So that doesn't mean that we're seeing a tornado on the ground, but it means that we could. This is active all the way through 5 p.m. today. Make sure that you are staying weather aware and frequently checking the forecast. This is a pretty fluid situation. We've been seeing your weather models model it pretty well, especially the one that I just recently showed you when we looked at our future skycast. So we do have a pretty good idea at the shape and direction that this is going to come in and kind of what we're expecting in terms of timing. However, it is a weather model. It's trying to predict the future, which is really hard to do, especially if you guys tried to do any of the March Madness brackets a little while back. You were predicting the future there. It could be a little bit difficult, so similar situation with these. All right, I'm taking you back to a live look at our radar out toward McKinney. Lots of lightning. I'm not necessarily seeing any areas that I'm seeing hail cores, which is good. I mean, we are still seeing a little bit of hail, but not necessarily a hail core, which is where we get the biggest hail and a ton of it coming down. So that is good news for us. Let me go ahead and see if I can get a check of how much rain has fallen over the past several hours. This is going to be over the past, let's see, 6 hours. That's what we have. Sometimes it takes a second just for that data to go ahead and load in there. Alrighty, there we go. It's loading in. So this is from our radar estimates, how much rain has fallen over the past 6 or so hours. You can see lots of torrential rainfall, buckets of rain dumped back toward Graham and back toward Abilene. That I believe was earlier this morning when the storms were a bit more intense. Our radar estimates putting that between 3 to 4, if not even more inches of rain. Slightly less rain for areas of North Texas. We're looking at about 1.5 inches to maybe 2 inches for all the areas shaded in purple. Now in the Dallas Metroplex, we haven't necessarily seen a ton of rain according to our radar estimates, but we have heard some reports of a few flooded roadways, maybe a few ponding areas out there from our National Weather Service chat. We're in the chat room with them, so we have communication with what they're saying at the National Weather Service. Still though, just make sure that you're staying careful. If you're heading out on the roadways this morning, I would stay extra cautious. If you're going out to the east and you're leaving now or in the next hour or so, you should be good to go. But if you're going west, you're heading directly into those storms and you will likely see some flooding. Now out toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, about 1/4 inch of rain has fallen from our radar estimates, if not a little bit more. But I expect we'll see lots more torrential rainfall coming down. Because I mean, just look at how red this is. That's a good sign that we're seeing lots of rain, very gusty winds. Now I'm watching this kind of stretch back out to the northwest where we're seeing lots of intense storm activity. The good news about this is even though we're tracking this leading line, it's slowing down a little bit from what we saw before sunrise this morning. It's widespread, but because it's not just that single line, that means that we're not necessarily seeing the worst of the wind. I am a little bit concerned about this segment, which is heading out toward Cooper and Sulphur Springs, just because of the shape of that's trying to form into what we called a bowing segment. Essentially, that's where you look, it looks, I like to describe it kind of like a contact lens. You know, if you put your contact in, it's kind of arched out this direction. We are seeing it just in this little section here. This is where we're likely seeing some of the gustiest winds. Previously, there was a severe thunderstorm warning attached to this section of the storm when it was back out toward Melissa and closer to Plano. It is continuing to move through our area, so I'm going to continue to keep an eye on that. Lots of lightning is coming out of this as well. Now, let me go ahead and get a look at our future skycast. That way I can time everything out for you guys. So the graphic is going to change here just 1 second. I expect that to reach our area sometime in the next few hours. So I've been saying around 2 p.m., 3 p.m., maybe 1 p.m., so anywhere between that 1 to 3 p.m. range for our westernmost counties. We're giving you a few hours heads up on that. From there, it's going to continue to move out to the southwest, kicking up the gusty winds, bringing a risk of tornadoes. I'm worried about a few embedded tornadoes in this line. That means that it's attached to this line. It could be a little bit harder to see if that happens. These tornadoes are often rain wrapped. That means that you can't get a good visual on them. So it just is a little bit harder for us to tell where they are because we can't get spotters on the ground who can visually see them. We still have a good look at our radar though. Now, once again, I'm not saying that we will see something spin, but there is a chance that we could. So make sure that you are staying up to date with the forecast and frequently checking our radar. If you want a good look at the radar app, there are 2 good options that I have for you. One of them is if you go to the National Weather Service website. Our area is kind of split between 2. There's one that is with Shreveport that starts at around Smith County and out to the east. All of those counties, you'll go with Shreveport, and all of the counties to the west, so in Zant County out toward Dallas, you'll be with the Fort Worth National Weather Service office. They have radar right on their homepage. That way you can see directly where these storms are, get a good check of it yourself. We'll be streaming it as well on CBS 19 Plus, and I believe on Facebook we'll have a live radar stream going as soon as we finish this live stream and I go ahead and start getting ready for the noon show. We also have it on our CBS 19 app. If you download that, it's available on the App Store, on Google Play. That's all free. You can go to the weather tab. We do have live radar there. It will show you where the storms are, and that is the most valuable tool to you. That way you can tell actively where there are severe weather watches and warnings. So you can tell if the storm is headed towards your area or if you're on the back end of it. So make sure that you are just staying up to date with the forecast. And, you know, we're going to get through this, even though I know a lot of us have some severe storm anxiety after what we had happen earlier this month. We are going to get through this. Back then, it was the beginning of April, we had significantly more storm energy in the air. This one, we're not necessarily seeing that level 4 out of 4 risk. Instead, we are under a level 3 out of 4 risk. Let me see if I can show you that graphic. Alrighty, a level 3 risk beginning to pop up across parts of East Texas. That's for everything that's highlighted in orange on your screen. That's back to the Dallas area. So Smith County, Gregg County, and all the way out to the east. Make sure that you are still staying weather aware. When we had the storms come through at the beginning of the month, that's when we had a level 4 out of 4. So if you're here, it was around April 4th. I don't think it'll be anywhere near as bad as that, but there is a chance that we could see something spin, so please make sure that you're staying weather aware. I'll give you one last look at radar, then we'll go ahead and close with our 7-day. I'm checking Facebook. I'm not seeing anyone in our live chat, so it doesn't appear that anyone has any questions at this time. If you do so, go ahead and speak now or forever hold your peace. We are seeing lots of gusty winds. This is beginning to bow out to the Paris area, so Cooper, you're probably going to get hit with some pretty gusty winds here soon. If not Greenville, toward Paris, the same thing. Let me go ahead and get a track on this for you. It's moving at about 35-ish miles per hour. It has a bit of a jagged edge there at the beginning or on the eastern side of it, so we could see some gusty winds, maybe a bit of a messy system coming through. So I'm timing it out for you. Take a look at the top left-hand corner of your screen. Josephine, the leading edge, will probably get to you sometime in the next less than 10 minutes out toward Paris. That leading edge is set to reach you at 11:22. Give or take a few minutes. Reno closer to 11:30. Sulphur Springs, you'll probably get blasted with some winds at about 11:45-ish. And then out toward Point, that leading edge is set to reach you closer to noon today. Now, we are going to continue to track this all through the morning today. I am going to really keep my eye on this leading edge here just because we are seeing lots of gusty winds out of it. There's a chance we could see a few power outages across our area here in East Texas. So just make sure that you are charging any of your devices. If you have any extra battery packs, go ahead and plug them in. That way you are ready in case you lose power. Also, go ahead and just make a plan with your loved ones in the event that you do lose power and you don't have access to your cell phone because it dies. That way you still have a way to reach them. And of course, have a discussion with your kiddos because a lot of this is going to hit as they're coming home from school. It's not necessarily going to be the safest for them to walk home. There's going to be lots of lightning. And remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. You don't want to get struck by lightning. Lightning can strike up to 10 miles outside of the parent storm. So you want to make sure that there's a plan in place, either if they can catch the bus home from school, your kiddos, because we'll have the storms coming through when they're coming home. If they can catch the bus home or carpool if you can pick them up, those are all going to be great options to keep them safe rather than having to walk home in a lightning storm. Alrighty, well, I hope that you guys have a fantastic Wednesday. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on this. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for our noon show today, and then we'll leave you with a last look at our 7-day forecast. We're going to get another stream up here going soon. That's when we'll have a live look at our radar, so you guys can continue to get the latest watches and warnings, and we'll be back again at noon on CBS 19 on air, as well as on CBS 19 Plus. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay weather aware.